What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Doc Sports YouTube channel. My name is Sean Barnard, and I will be here giving you my survival pool picks for the week 1 of NFL season. Before I dive fully into it, it is important for me to mention that you guys can get $60 worth of free premium member picks by checking out docsports.com. That's docsports.com and clicking in the top left corner. So make sure to check that out. They got everything you need as far as in-depth analysis for football season and everything beyond. So now let's dive right in and give you my top picks for the survival pool. I'm going to give you 4 that I really like this week and then 3 games that I'd rather stay away from. So my top pick for this week in the survival pool will be the 49ers over the Chicago Bears. The game is in Chicago, but that doesn't worry me because the Bears are 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 home games, and the San Francisco 49ers are 14-6 against the spread in their last 20 games against the Bears. The 49ers clearly have put their faith in Trey Lance heading into this season. We've seen the success with Jimmy Garoppolo. This is a contending level team. They have the roster that's built up for it. Now see if he can take the keys and run for them. On the opposite side of things, I just don't think the Bears are ready to compete this year. I think they have a better chance of contending for the top pick than they do for a playoff seed. So these are two teams heading in the opposite directions, and I got the 49ers winning in convincing fashion this week. That is my top pick. That's the one I will be riding, but I also really like these 3 as well. Number 2, moving on, I have the Broncos for the Seahawks. The Monday night matchup, the one everybody's going to have their eyes on, clearly the return of Russell Wilson to Seattle. I think kind of how it's said is just 2 teams, once again, heading in opposite directions. I don't think it's going to be a long rebuild for the Seahawks. I think this very well could be 1 year where they find their quarterback again or back in contention. But with Geno Smith as starting quarterback and Drew Lock looking over his shoulder, that's just not a recipe for success. I expect Russell Wilson to be ready. I think he's the missing piece that this Broncos team has been looking for. They have a ton of talent around him on both sides of the ball, and they really just need a guy ready to sling it, and that's what Wilson's going to do. So he'll be ready for the moment. All eyes will be on that game, and I expect the Broncos to take care of business. Moving on, number 3, I have the Eagles go over the Detroit Lions. I think the Philadelphia Eagles had the best offseason across the entire NFL. They addressed all their needs, covered all their holes, and this is the Jalen Hurts prove it year. The Detroit Lions are a solid team. Obviously, America's sweethearts right now after Hard Knocks and everything that's going on with that. But at the end of the day, they were 3-13-1 last year, and they still have some concerns. I think the Eagles are going to come in, take care of business. Jalen Hurts, they're going to have the scheme ready, and for him to capitalize on this, there's not a lot that he has to do. Like, the expectations seem to be so high for him, but with the tools around and the weapons on both sides of the ball for the Eagles, I expect them to cruise past the Lions. I think the -4 spread is a little light there. And moving on for my last one for week 1, I had the Colts going over the Houston Texans. -8 spread here. I just really like the Colts. I think Matt Ryan, they wanted a game manager, and they certainly got it in him. So it'll be cool to see him taking this offense. Once again, this is another team that has the talent around and was just missing the quarterback. And Matt Ryan is clearly at the end of his career, still has a little bit of juice left in the tank that I think he's going to show this year. So I expect the Colts to have a solid season this year, and that's going to start with taking care of business over the Houston Texans in week 1. I think there's some different ways you can look at the strategy for building a survivor pool. Personally, I like to take it on more of a week-by-week basis. I think you get yourself in some trouble if you start looking ahead and picking matchups ahead of that. So I'd personally like to look at this and take week 1, what's my best bet. So all these, I think, are solid options for week 1. To move into some games that I would think is a better idea to stay away from, the Vikings versus Packers is one that I think is going to come down to the wire. The loss of Devontae Adams is one that I don't think has been given enough credit. It's obviously been recognized, but just the chemistry that him and Aaron Rodgers had is tough to replace. And I think it's going to take some growing pains with that offense and the new receiving core for things to fully click. But you can never count out Aaron Rodgers, so that's going to be a tight one. The Vikings also took Za'Darius Smith and Shannon Sullivan from the Packers in free agency this offseason. So some in-division kind of rivalry brewing there if it isn't already. So that's one I'd rather stay away from. Next, I would rather avoid the Patriots versus Dolphins. 2 teams with a lot to prove here. Tua obviously has the pressure on him. He's got the weapons around him now with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, which is one of the, if not the one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. But the Patriots, you can't ever count them out. There's great things coming out about Mac Jones from camp last year. They overachieved and surprised everyone by sneaking into the playoffs last year. And a Bill Belichick-led team is always going to show up ready. I lean toward the Patriots in that one, but that's another that I think is going to come down to the wire, and I would rather stay away from for week 1. And lastly, the Chargers versus Raiders. That's just an absolute brutal division. You can make a case for any of those 4 teams being ready to win and seriously contend in the playoffs. So I'm confident multiple teams coming out of there make it to the postseason. And for this game specifically, I lean toward the Chargers, but this is one where I can absolutely see going both ways. I think the weapons that the Chargers have on the defensive side of the ball that they added this offseason won't make the biggest difference, but this is just going to be a toss-up, one that goes down the wire, so no sense taking that extra risk and going there. Other than that, there's a great slate of football games for week one. NFL season is finally back, and all our Sunday schedules are now filled up for the next couple months. So appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out everything on DocSports.com, and I'll be back with you next week with some week 2 picks.